Hi, this is Daniel Breton from Montréal Autoprix Hybrid and Electric Division. Tonight we're going to talk about electro motorcyclists with a whole range going from little scooters with to real motorbikes. And we're going to talk about this with Louise from the David Suzuki Foundation.
Hi.
And Christian Duval, which works for E-Mobility Cafe.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
So let me take that off. There you go. Up. Okay. So first of all, we're going to talk with Louise because she has a lot to tell because she's had quite an experience trying to get to an electric motorbike. First of all, she bought one about a year ago. Is that it?
Yeah, I've been driving an electric motorcycle for about a year, and I wasn't driving a motorcycle before, so I just learned how to drive and then got myself an electric motorcycle.
So right off the bat, you went electric because for the environment, I guess?
Oh, because for the environment, definitely.
Okay. And could you tell us a bit about your experience with the SAC, Société de l'Assurance Automobile du Québec? You've had quite a strange experience with them because you've passed all your courses and lessons and whatnot. But when came time for you to pass the test to get your rider's license, how do you say that? You had some problems.
Yeah, I actually had to use a gas motorcycle for most of for my classes because I needed to use a motorcycle from the company that was giving the classes, and they didn't have electric ones. And so my motorcycle fell on the side one or two times. The motorcycle did a hiccup, and there was a spill on the ground. And then I did the closed circuit examination on a gas motorcycle, and then I said, you know what, that's it. I'm never ever stepping on a gas motorcycle ever. I want to drive an electric motorcycle. Why do I have to go through this? Okay. So then when after a year I was allowed to pass my full license to be able to have a passenger with me and to be able to drive at night. The rest I can already do with the license class that I have, but when I show up for the examination they said no can do. You need a motorcycle with a clutch, so basically you need a gas motorcycle to be able to have your full license.
And what's really weird about this is the fact that it's as if they said in 2019, well, you have to have a manual transmission car for you to be able to get your driver's license with a car. But it's not the case. It hasn't been the case for about half a century. So basically, when it's time for motorcycles, I would say that the SAC is about half a century late.
Yeah, we're half a century behind, and this really sucks because the Quebec government subsidized me $2,000 to get my electric motorcycle, and the same government won't allow me to take my full license on an electric motorcycle. Meanwhile, I have another type of license, and I can still drive on the road and do whatever I want. So I'm still out there on the road with everybody. And one of the claims that the people at the Insurance Society told me is that it was way more dangerous to drive with a clutch, to which I answered, yeah, if you have an accident with the clutch, you're probably going to have an accident at very low speed in the first gear. But if you have an accident with a motorcycle like this, it's probably through acceleration issues because you can fall easily when you just start the motorcycle if you're not careful. And also, this motorcycle can reach 100 kilometers in 3 seconds. So I really don't know what's more dangerous. I think it's two types of dangers, and both drivers have to be wise. But I think both drivers should be allowed to take their examination, whatever motorcycle they're going to ride in the end.
I don't think it's about security. I think it's more about being outdated, really. And I even talked to this about this weird regulation to people from Transition Énergétique Québec, and even them, which work for another branch of the government, were not aware of the fact that the SAC didn't allow the test to be passed with electric motorcycles. So they're supposed to have some discussions. I'll get back to them in a few months in the spring to see if things have evolved. So I'll get back to you about your motorcycle. But first, I'm going to go to Christian Duval, and he's going to talk to us about the whole range of different two-wheel modes of transportation that are all electric. That's very important. So let's go with Christian. So tell us a bit about these
We're gonna
scooters
start,
and whatnot.
with the scooter here. This scooter here is a new style. Everybody's riding those scooters now. It's popular around the world. In Montreal, it is still under tests for 1 year. Transport Canada will come out.
There's a pilot project.
It's a pilot project, and in the spring they will come up with the regulation, probably motors, like the electric bikes. It's probably going to be in the same category.
Is this the same type of? Do you call that a scooter?
It's called a kick scooter.
It's a kick scooter?
Yes, because you have to give it a kick, and what it does, it actually gives you 4 times the pressure you put on your foot. So if you put it 10 pounds of pressure, it'll give you 40 pounds of thrust, of movement.
Okay. And because I've been riding Lime scooters in San Diego and in Montreal.
Course, yeah.
Are we talking about the same type of technology here?
It is the same type of technology. It's always the basic thing, except the models changes. It's a question of choice and taste and needs also.
Okay. After that, we have obviously the electric bikes that are really getting popular.
Yes, electric bikes, we have a variety of range. There's all kinds of companies out there. I think the bicycle now is well established, and it's moving forward very rapidly. I know we see that at the store. We do sell, and people are getting more and more interested into the electric bicycle, because the bicycle used to be a sport. You have to really, really work hard. Now it's becoming a
Mode of transportation.
mode of transportation that more people that wouldn't normally use bikes because of the effort, now they use it because it's much easier to get around with an electric bike.
Because there's been this argument from people who are used to riding bikes, where they say, well, if you have an electric assistance, it's not real exercise, and some people are not too fond of this. So what do you say to them?
Well, just like I explained, yes, of course, some people like to ride and like the effort, but it's not everybody who has the possibility to have a good cardio.
And the people is getting older, actually. The population of Quebec and pretty much everywhere in the Western Hemisphere are getting older, so at least they're doing some exercise. Am I wrong?
No, we're noticing that the baby boomer generation is is looking into electric bicycles now, and they're the one buying most of the time. Well, that's what we see. Yes.
Okay. Now let's go to the thing. Let's call it the thing. It's called a cruiser. Okay.
Cruiser, yes.
So could you tell us a bit about this?
Well, this cruiser is something in between a scooter and a kick scooter.
Okay.
It is different. This one, you can actually stand up on it and actually ride it standing up, or you can actually ride it sitting down. Originally, this was actually built for golf courts, to actually get around and to not damage the ground. But now, since the style of riding, the scooters are out there, now they sell it to the public as a mode of transportation.
Okay. And having ridden it, it's really a different experience. It feels a bit like going on a skidoo, because as you can see, it's standing on its own right now. There's no kick, there's no stand, there's no nothing. But the tires are, since the tires are pretty square, it can stand up by itself, you see. So what happens is when comes time for you to turn, you really have to act as if you were on a skidoo like this with your whole body, and it takes some getting used to, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It's a little harder on hard surfaces, but it was mostly made for soft surfaces like grass or sand or dirt. But it works both ways. You get used to it.
Yeah, absolutely you do. Now let's get to the scooters, the Kumpan scooters. And let me tell you, I've ridden this one for about a week and a half this summer. I haven't not ridden this one. These are 2 German scooters, and this model is called the 1953. This one, the 1954 RI. And the reason why it's called like this is because the design is inspired from Vespa, the Italian scooters, from 1953 and 1954. So you got this retro look, but with high technology, full electric, German craftsmanship, and they're really beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah, they're good looking.
And you even have the white tires. I can't believe it. And but these scooters are obviously more expensive, but they're of very good quality. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, of course. These scooters are really our pride. We're an importer, a North American importer of these scooters, and they are very high-end scooters. They're very good quality.
They're not the cheap Chinese scooters that kids run around in. It's for people like professionals that would go in Montreal or in Quebec City or elsewhere to go to work or something like that.
Exactly. It's not a toy. It's really a good vehicle.
It's a mode of transportation.
Motor transportation, and these are very interesting. Like you're saying about the style, the retro style. Actually, the RI means retro intelligence.
Holy crap.
That's what it means. So that's what. So these scooters, we have two styles right now. We have two models. We have a smaller model for teenagers or smaller person. This model goes about 65 kilometers, and it can only take one passenger. We cannot put two people on that. Okay. If we want something, if we are bigger or heavier than a teenager, we suggest the other model, the 54, which is more powerful. It's a 4,000 watt motor, okay, and it goes up to 70 kilometers per hour. So it allows you to get around quite fast.
Okay, actually, I've been up to 74 kilometers an hour with this one, with my girlfriend in the back and the dog between us in a suit, you know, and this. I've had a range of about 125 kilometers with this one with the 3 batteries, because you can buy either the scooter with 1, 2, or 3 batteries. So with the 3 batteries, I got 125 kilometers of range, but you can get more than 150 kilometers if you don't go on, you know, on the road that's 70 or 75 kilometers an hour. But this one is very sophisticated. I really love this one, and so does my girlfriend. But the thing is, you know what she found? She's too small for this one. She's too small because she couldn't, her feet couldn't touch the ground. So, but very interesting. So, price-wise, how much are we talking about here?
Price-wise, if we come here and we look at the trottinette, the kick scooter, this is a German one. It's 2,150 for the price. For the bikes right now, we just got the bikes. We don't have the price yet. We just received them yesterday. Okay. For the cruiser is around $4,000. Okay. For the 1953 model, that's a little brown one here, it's $6,900. Okay. And it's about around $8,000 for the 1954 RI.
And you can get $500 rebates on all of these?
Yes, from the green funds from the government. Yes, you get a refund of $500.
From the Quebec government. Federal government, nothing yet. Well, we're in an election, so I hope that they're going to listen to us and maybe offer some kind of rebate for these vehicles. Now, let's go to the real motorbike, okay? So, Louise, tell us a bit about your bike. It's a zero bike.
Well, first off, I get a rebate of $2,000 from the Quebec government to acquire this bike. And the zero motorcycle bikes are worth somewhere between $15,000 to $26,000. Mine was about $22,000 because I added an extra battery in it, and also added a quick charger because I wanted to be able to charge on the road with all the recharge stations, level 2 recharge stations that are available.
You can stop at the charger from the circuit électrique. We're not talking about the BRCC. We're not talking about the level 3, level 2 chargers.
Yeah, so it takes about 2 hours or so to fully charge my battery on those. If I was on the regular 120 volts at my house, it would take about 5 hours. But I wanted to be able to recharge on the road if I wanted to do more distance. But in terms of distance, I can do in the city about 300 kilometers. So I can charge somewhere once every 2 weeks, and I basically use the charging station in town when I have trouble parking. Yeah,
that's great. And I have a question for you. It means that you have to pay for charging, but when you have a bike, you have to pay for parking?
Well, if I need to pay for parking where the recharge station is, yes, I'll pay for parking. But in general, you know, the motorcycles.
Yeah, that's my question.
You can squeeze them as long as you respect, you know, the fire hydrants, and as you respect the distance from the corner of the street. We really rarely need to pay for parking, at least downtown.
So and there's different battery sizes from the zero motorcycle, going from 7 kilowatt hours to 18 kilowatt hours. This one is a 13, I think. Eh?
Yeah, it's 13. So right now, the most recent model of this year is about 14. Last year was a 13, but it's pretty interesting. So my power is about 45 kilowatts, and I can accelerate from 0 to 100 in about 3 seconds. So it's quite rapid. I mean, there's only me and the Tesla that can speed off at the same speed from the street corner, but pretty much.
And the Porsche Taycan that's coming up.
Yeah, but anything else stays in the back of us. So we get the road. I get to go ahead of the traffic. It's really quiet. I don't make any noise. I don't stink, and I can listen to the birds and the insects making noises as I ride through town. So it's really pleasant ride.
Very interesting. So, thanks a lot, Christian. Thanks a lot, Louise. It was really nice of you. Listen, there's a whole variety of two-wheelers going electric. There's even more than that, because someone that wasn't here tonight that we're going to see soon is the Sora motorcycle, made in Quebec, which is kind of the Tesla of motorcycles, of electric motorcycles. And it's a pride of Quebec. Jean-Pierre Legris, I salute this gentleman because he's done a lot for Quebec for electric motorcycles. But I think that these motorcycles are getting more and more popular. So I think it's time for the SAC to wake up and smell the roses, because, things are changing fast. They have to go with the flow. So this was Daniel Breton with Louise and Christian Duval. Thanks a lot. See you next week.